Hi, I'm Stephen Roselle with Autodesk, and we're here at Casual Connect 2010 in Seattle, and we're talking about how you can use Maya for content creation for casual games. And in this demonstration, I'm showing some of the examples of ways that you can create character animation in Maya that could be used for either stills or animated sprites or actual 3D animation within a casual game. So here we have an example of an animated sequence. This is just a little cartoony character that has clearly been animated here, and there's actually a rig that's hidden right now that is used to drive the animation. So if we bring up the objects that are used to control this, you can see that I've got simple controls that allow me to pose and basically go in and adjust the position and orientation of the different pieces and parts of my character. So the creation of this rig can be created very simply now using something called FBIK. So here you see another example of a character, again a kind of cartoony character, and what I've got here is a skeleton that's driving this character. Very straightforward, but if I wanted to actually animate this with a rig, rather than building it from scratch using custom tools, I can actually just very simply and easily go in and create what's called FBIK. So I simply just select the base of my skeleton. FBIK is a full body animation rig for IK and FK. So I basically apply the rig, and then I simply come in here and first of all just hide the joints, and I'll bring up the IK controls. What you'll see here is I've got simple control objects now that allow me to drive and pose my character in different ways. So I can come in here and I can basically begin to pose my character. And what you'll also see is that I've got different controls, or rather kind of different layers of controls for each level of the rig. So right now you can see I have control over the arm. I can simply click on this and switch into a full body mode, and that will give me control over the entire body. You can see there's a relationship between the arm and the legs. We can also link in other objects. For instance, I can take this skateboard and I can actually drive the legs of the character with this skateboard. So I can quickly come in here and I can pose this and basically begin to position and lay out my character, animating this directly, and then ultimately I can render this out as a simple sprite. So what you see here is I have the actual rendered image with the alpha mask basically, which would allow me to use this as a sprite animation in something like a casual or mobile game. So moving on, we can also talk about the different ways that we can actually render out these characters. So here you see a really simple cartoony character that looks pretty basic in terms of the rendering, but if I switch over into a higher quality view, you can see that we have a built-in toon renderer in Maya that allows you to display and visualize characters in very unique ways. So right now I'm seeing more of an illustrated cartoon type render on my character. If I wanted to take this a step further, I could actually grab these objects and I can apply a variety of different toon effects. So if I go into my rendering menu here, I can go in and I can, for instance, add something like an outline to this. By adding an outline, I'm essentially creating a border or a boundary, much like I would, with traditional 2D drawings, having outlines around my toon rendering. So now I can go in and I can actually grab this as an object and I can begin to edit the parameters. For instance, if I wanted to go in and increase the line width, I could basically just change a simple parameter and increase that very easily. I can also go in and I can add things like intersecting lines. So here where the eyeballs are intersecting with the head, I can just change one simple parameter and now it will go in and it will recognize that intersection and actually draw the outlines for me. So having to draw this by hand obviously would be painstaking, but using Maya's toon renderer I can do it very simply and easily, and then just change the orientation or position of my character, and all of that stuff will update automatically. So we can take this a step further and we can add a variety of controls. Here's another example of a toon render, and you can see if I push play here, I've actually got some animation, and you can see how those outlines will actually update based on the animation. I've also got a variety of controls in here that allow me to actually animate different parameters. For instance, I can build in something like a blink where I can just really quickly and easily go in and animate the character's eyes blinking, or I can go in and I can add something like a little bit of noise to the mouth so that I have kind of a squiggly or line representation for the mouth. And these can all be built directly in Maya and attached to the character pretty simply. So ultimately I can basically take this and I can combine this with something like the rig animation, and I can create, if I can actually find my file here, there it is, I can create a rendered sequence that could be used in the end as a sprite animation. So this could all be exported as 3D objects for something like Nintendo 3DS, or if I'm doing something like a casual PC game, I may want to actually composite this into a 2D environment as a bitmap sequence.